Hello, welcome back to the I Help Men Dress Better podcast, where it is my goal to help you better be seen and remembered through the lens of style. And just to be clear, that's not just seen and remembered by other people, you know, in the context of meeting people and receiving opportunities, but also to be able to better and more clearly see yourself and remember who you are. Today, I was humbled. I was humbled this week, and um, wasn't wasn't a pleasant experience. I think 9 times out of 10, being humbled is not a pleasant experience. But I, I had a call with a potential lead that I thought would be a really perfect fit, and I was really excited to have the opportunity to work with them. But I, you know, screwed the pooch, and that's something that happens. It, but the next so I I got rejected, and it felt about how rejection feels. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you've ever been rejected. Not a good feeling. Most people go out of their way to avoid rejection at all costs. Um, but I think what upset me the most is knowing that it was probably a gap in my skills or something that I had overlooked, which is not how I've always felt. When I was much younger, I used to be more resentful when things didn't go my way because I couldn't even comprehend how it could be my fault, which which actually ties into today's topic. But we'll get there by the end of this story. So feeling pretty upset about that rejection, and then I had a really amazing call the next day with someone who, at the end of the call, they said, "Hey man, is it cool if I give you some feedback on the call?" And I said, "Yes, please." Like, my so much of who I am today is because people took the time to give me even harsh feedback that I think most people would feel uncomfortable giving, but from a place of genuine care. And of course, I mean, that's that's what I do for a living. So who am I to say, yeah, no, don't give me feedback. I don't want feedback. I'm just an entrepreneur trying to, you know, have a successful business. God forbid I should get any feedback. um, but one of the pieces of feedback that he gave me was a reminder that a lot of the people that I talk to, they really don't have as much of a frame of reference of what style even is or what style could be. You know, I think on my end, I know that the problem that I'm helping with is this, at least in one way, is this general unease with your appearance, but not having a clear path forward to actually do anything about it. But I think something that I have been overlooking is that while I can see the path forward, I'm not always clear on, I'm not always clear on presenting, what's possible, what that vision is. I'm not sure that I'm going to fully flesh that vision out on this podcast, on this episode. It's something that I want to think more about, how I want to present that in a way that I think is clear and helps people take that next step. But I did want to have a discussion about, what is style? You know, it I'm selling this thing, right? Like, I'm selling style coaching and consulting. But what is style? What is that product? What is that outcome? And I think, of course, there's the way that I see it, and that's based on my experience. And that is not an experience that's shared by my clients yet. That's an experience that I'm working to share with them. So obviously, a big question is, you know, what is style to you? And I would love to hear your answers in the comments before I speak a little further about it. So, if you want to pause this and drop in the comments what you think style is, that would be great. I'd love to hear your responses, and of course, I'll respond in turn. But I wanted to flesh out that idea and talk through uh, some ideas that hopefully won't be too abstract, but maybe a little amorphous. So I'm gonna try to tie things in and keep things as concrete as I can. Um, but no promises. A little bit of this is going to be some free flowing thought. So, when I think back to my introduction to style, I think my introduction fell into this camp of general awareness. So I sat down before this podcast and I took some notes about what I see as three potential buckets. I'm not fully certain on them. I don't know that this idea is really fully fleshed out. And so I would love for this to be more of a conversation, uh, which again, love to hear your thoughts in the comments so that this can be more of a back and forth and we can collaborate and build these ideas out more. But these three steps I have as general awareness, more specific awareness, and then self awareness. And I think they all sort of fall into the realm of self awareness, although I, I don't think they have to. Like when I was in the realm of general awareness. So, general awareness is, this kind of general awareness that some people have this it factor. Some people seem to almost shine a little bit brighter. You know, certain people may have more friends, they're more easily likable. There's this charisma and confidence and energy around them. And sometimes it isn't clear what it is, or oftentimes it isn't clear that there's necessarily something about them, but we just we just see that people are drawn to them or that people tend to, orbit around them. I know that was my experience. And that general awareness, it is coming from a sense of comparison. So in a certain way, there's an element of self-awareness, but I don't know that it's fully self-aware yet. That's why I have self-awareness as the last step. So general awareness is that noticing that certain people seem to maybe shine a little bit brighter, or they just have more people in their orbit, and you're not you're not sure why. And there's this sort of like them versus you, like what is it about them? What's this quality that they have that I don't? And I think that confusion, that that sense of, okay, I know that they have something that I don't, or I feel that they have something that I don't, not knowing what to pin that onto, but knowing that there's a reason, it can send you to focus on small flaws as the source. And I think that this is where a lot of people end up and sometimes even get stuck. So, it might be something like, oh, it's because of my nose. Like if I must be ugly. If I had and I must be ugly because I have a big nose. And if I could just fix my nose, then I wouldn't be ugly, and then I might feel more confident, and then that might, you know, like then people would like me more. People would respect me more. They'd think I was attractive more. I might meet these metrics that people seem to care about, and then I'll have that it factor. And of course, it's not about that very niche, unique feature. Um, but we can get caught up on that, right? We can kind of look at these people who have something that we want and latch onto something that seems relevant. Oh, it's because they're tall, or oh, it's because they're funny. Um, but but a lot of times we will latch onto something that we're already insecure about and almost project that out. So it doesn't even matter what they have, what they maybe like actually have that we don't. It has to do more with the areas we already feel insecure about. So, and if you know anything about body dysmorphic disorder or things like anorexia, different body image issues, a lot of times it's from an inability to see the body as a holistic whole. So, looking at a single feature and seeing that as a problem instead of being able to see the full picture, right? So, oh, I have skinny arms, or oh, I have, chunky legs, and not being able to see the full body in its entirety and see the way that it balances, the the way that it actually looks, right? Because you're so hyper focused in this one area. So, and it could be anything. It could be a personality trait, but the point is that you're sort of hyper focused on something small, um, because you don't have an answer yet as to what makes these people seem to shine a little bit brighter. Two is more specific awareness. I think that is where you get a little more pulled back and you start to see more of an umbrella. So it's more like trends and behaviors, just general attractiveness. So you might just notice, okay, there are people who maybe have different features, but they're all attractive and I'm not. Or you start to notice trends, you know, among clothing, right? You start to notice, okay, all the popular people seem to wear this general uniform. There's overlap. You start to notice these patterns between different people who shine brighter, who, uh, you know, seem to be more attractive, right? Like literally, what does the word attractive mean? It means they attract. And yep, yeah, personality traits, demeanor, mood, those sorts of things. You become more aware of that. And that's still you looking out into the world and noticing mostly traits that either you don't naturally possess. And sometimes that could be a skill that it would be good for you to, actually learn. You could actually look out into the world and see, oh, wow, they have this way of communicating. They have this way of storytelling. They have this way of not overthinking things. So there are positive skills that you really could learn in this step. But I think at this stage, I'm defining it a little more in the kind of unhealthy awareness. So it's more of they have something that I don't. And I think usually here is where you start getting more into the mimicry of it. So it's a little bit less about like I'm like hyper focused on the self and fixing this one thing, and a little bit more about fixing broader um, fixing broader traits. So looking for a bigger change. If I could have the right clothes, if I could mimic their behavior and change my personality to reflect kind of their personality. Like if I can act that way, then maybe that will work, right? Um, and then I think step three is that self awareness where you're able to turn back inside and instead of seeing yourself through the lens of what other people have that you don't, you're actually able to see yourself and your unique strengths, right? So instead of only being able to see kind of all the strengths that everyone else has and that reflect back to you as flaws, you're actually able to see your own unique strengths. And now instead of, trying to mimic other people to, fit in or be like them, you're able to look more at yourself and express things that are true about you. right? So now instead of looking what other people value in other people and trying to express those traits, even if you, whether you have them or not, or whether you're aware of them or not, now you're trying to actually express your internal traits versus external traits. I think there's likely a lot of subcategories and even overlap between these three. And I don't know that it specifically answers the question of what is style, but I do think that this process has a lot of overlap with the style process. And at least I know that it did with me. And my style journey in a big way is reflected in these sort of levels of awareness. I know that I haven't fully answered the question. This is time. This is definitely a topic that I'd like to dive deeper into and spend more time talking about. So I would really appreciate hearing your thoughts in the comments. If you liked this episode or if you've liked other episodes in the past and have not yet, I would really appreciate it if you rang the bell and subscribed. It would just really help. First of all, let me know what you like, as well as, help expand the podcast. And if you know anyone who you think would benefit from this, please share this episode with them. It would go a long way, and I would really appreciate it. I know that you have a lot of other things you could be doing, and I really appreciate that you came and spent this time with me. I look forward to seeing you next week, and thank you. I hope you learned something. I hope you've I hope you got value. I hope, well, maybe you felt seen. But just want the best for you, and I will see you next week.